Okay, welcome Sarah Holder. It's so lovely to have you on our VA in the Spotlight interview. Sarah actually has been, associated with VA Institute for a long time, haven't you?
I know. It doesn't feel like a long time, but it does.
Yeah.
When you actually go, oh, okay, yeah, I've been doing this for a few years now, and
it's quite amazing how quickly time flies. And as I sit here, it's like October. Holy heck. How do we get to October? But more importantly, when we met, you were ramping your business up, and it was maybe 2 years ago, do you think?
I started Active Admin Solutions in 2016.
Okay.
And I probably was going, I think it might be closer to almost 3 years since, I did my reboot with you. And I started off, my first client was actually the person who had me employed, and I needed to go and do something because my partner needed help in his business, and I needed to be there. So my employer said, well, you can only go if you keep working for us. And it's like, well, okay, this makes this easy. I've got my first client, well, second client, because the partner's business needed help too, before I sort of started. And then it was just a matter of, okay, what have I got to do to be a sole trader and set up my business?
And it was one step after another then.
It was.
Gradual growth, but steady growth for you. So, yeah, like the one thing that, I guess I was really interested in talking to you initially because you came from my hometown of Gunnedah, right? That's where you were at that point.
That's where I was working. I was working in Gunnedah, and my first client was, as I said, my employer, but they were a not-for-profit Indigenous organisation, and they had an early learning and care service there, and they were growing. And as they were growing, they realised I'd brought skills from the city that they could use to build their business and help them shape where they wanted to go. But they also realised that I was a bit culturally sensitive as well, which really helped. I wasn't a token white fella turning up saying, this is how you got to do business. And that worked really well for me.
That's great.
And that led to me sort of looking at my systems and thinking, okay, I need to dot the I's and cross the T's. And that took me to the reboot program.
And it's always been great to I love working with people on their reboots because they're already sort of set up, but sometimes you need to draw a line in the sand and go, okay, let's just pull everything back and just make sure that what I've got is going to work for me in the future. But, more than that, you've made it more than work for you. Like hats off to you, Sarah. It's amazing, your growth. And I know that you were incredibly busy when I was kind of getting you to do my stuff about, 18 months ago or a bit more.
That was a real tough time for me because I had to say no. And that's part of me and my business model. It's like if I don't feel I'm giving something 100%, then I'm really not doing my clients any favors. And I think that's where I got to, and I felt like I wasn't achieving what I wanted to do across the board. And so I don't like delivering less.
There's no problem there. I'm exactly the same as you. I totally get it, and it's called transparency and working in your authenticity too. You in your heart of hearts, you can't feel right if that's kind of what's going on for you, and I absolutely understood. So and that's important. So where has your journey now taken you? So tell me about it's been 4 years, right, since you got started?
It's been 4 years since I got started, and I think the reboot was really good for me because it gave me a chance to focus and really identify who my ideal client was. Working on the avatar was really good for me because then I wasn't chasing or advertising work that I really didn't want to do. I started focusing on what I wanted. So that took me to more grant writing, and doing a lot of that. It also opened me up to out of the box clients, for want of a better description. I don't have any clients in the same industry.
Great.
I have a bookkeeper, I have a graphic recorder, I have a safari tour guide, I have a skateboard manufacturer.
Oh my gosh, that's diversity.
Yeah, and I have retailers in different sectors of the retail industry. And the work that I do for all of them is so varied and so different. But yeah, really challenging, and I love it. And it's taken me to the point, I actually worried when COVID hit. I had a couple of clients that were severely impacted and dropped off. And I thought, oh, and I was talking with a couple of other VAs saying, what do I do? They say, you pivot, what are you good at? And I was just lining things up, and I had 2 big clients come in, and they've occupied my bandwidth. And since March, I've had 10 new leads come in, and some of them I had to turn away, and I didn't like doing that. But in all honesty, some of what they wanted wasn't my area of expertise either. So I always try and line them up with another VA that I've worked with who I know has the same kind of work ethic or background. But it's now taken me to become the point where I'm becoming a proprietary limited and
huge,
building an online business management sort of network where I'll have VAs that sort of work through me on different aspects of clients' jobs, so we can scale up and scale down to meet needs.
Fantastic.
Because you just can't let word of mouth referrals go.
Oh, and so tell me about that. So your primary work and your leads have come through as word of mouth referrals primarily?
Some of them have actually come. I think I've done 2 applications through different networks, and got jobs that way. But I've been unsuccessful that way as well. Directory listings and getting my name and face out there have really helped. I've had more people contact me because they've seen me somewhere and identified with my webpage or what I say, who I am, and they've reached out to me. They may have also placed a job lead that I haven't applied for, which was the case for 3 of them. But they reached out. And that was really great. And then a couple of new clients they're part of big BNI networks. And they have, oh, hey, I've got this VA and
great.
Yeah, and some of them are in, well, a couple of them are in one network, but they're also in sector networks. So whether it be healthcare or whatever their primary industry might be, they've then talked about that in those groups. So I've actually had referrals come from them. And it's been awesome. And it's been a case of I've really got to take this next step and do something, because I hate. One of the fellows really was very disappointed when I was completely honest with him and said, look, I wouldn't be able to look after you to a level that I am comfortable with. So I have to say no. But I'd love to line you up with this lady who can do this for you and this person who can do that for you. And as much as he appreciated me sort of giving him someone else, he goes, can I just hang off until you're available and work with you? I really want to work with you. And that's lovely.
But it's not going to happen.
Not going to happen this year.
No. Oh my goodness.
And then just when I'd made the decision to turn into a business, I had 2 more leads come along that said, hey, we want to work with you. And one lady's just signed up. So under the new model, she's working with a member of the team. And
great. That's fantastic.
It is. So not much of a change in the name. We're Active Admin and Business Solutions now.
Well, that's good though, because your name has allowed you to grow. So we often have that question from people, well, you know, what what should I call my business? Is it okay if I call my business my name? Which is fine. But then, and you have kind of slightly changed your name, but you know, if you do have a big vision that could potentially involve, you know, growing beyond just you, then maybe it's a good idea to have a bigger name than just you.
It is, but I also understand why a lot of VAs, when they start out, they use their name because they're kind of used to being in the background and used to being somebody's PA. You know, they're not used to the idea of them having a team underneath them is a foreign concept.
Yes.
We sort of giggle about, you know, I'm building an empire. I said, I'm not building an empire. I don't want it.
Yeah.
But it's, I think where I want to go with this business model is sort of to let businesses know that you don't have to put a job lead out that's got that much on it for one person to do, that it's okay for you to work with a few different VAs to get the end result. But I understand, you know, then they have to manage that themselves. So if I can help them manage that in between, that's sort of
totally.
So it's exciting.
It's super exciting. I'm just so thrilled for you. And so, like, I don't know, thinking back, I mean, goodness, 4 years, it does go quickly, but
it does.
Did you imagine you would be like this when you started out?
No, I actually wanted to do this a long time ago, you know, 19, 20 years ago, probably when you and Rosie and some of the other ladies were starting out in the game. Yeah. But there wasn't enough around about it or enough belief in it. And I think it was that'd be a nice home thing for you to do.
Yeah.
And I still have people now who think, oh, you're just swanning around at home. We can just pop in. It's like, no, there's serious work going on here.
No. So
close the door.
Tell me a little bit about that's a really good thing because people get really worried about working from home and setting your boundaries. What have you done to sort of structure that?
Boundaries are really important from the beginning. Now, at the moment, I'm breaking all of my rules, but I have set the guideline. This is a short-term situation. This is not long-term because I can't sustain it. Lloyd was really a good influence on me with his business because he had an injury. He set his business hours, you know, from 9 till 5, and he shut the door. The door came down. That was it. The phones were unplugged, and we went inside. So I got into really good habits then. Part of what I do is I wear a uniform because when I have my shirt on working from home, I'm in that mindset. I'm putting on my uniform and I'm going to work. I'm putting on my corporate outfit and I'm going to work. It's not corporate, it's not city corporate, but it's enough to change the mindset from, nah, I'll just go and hang out the washing. Nah, I'll go and have a cup of coffee, or, what do I need to shop for? And it really just kicks my mind into thinking like that. And that's what works for me.
Yeah.
It is important to stop and have a break. So Lloyd being at home too, he'll come and, you know, make morning tea and we'll go and sit out the front and have a morning tea break or have lunch together. And it's not hours, it's a lunch break, but it makes you stop and give you time.
Yeah.
And usually I'm pretty good, you know, knock off 5:30, and I don't answer phone calls. I don't answer emails after that. And I usually would have weekends completely detached from work. And that was the balance I had. But as I said, at the moment, all the rules are out the window. There's a couple of really big projects happening.
Yeah.
And they need a fair bit of problem solving and working through.
Yeah, I mean, it's short-term pain for long-term gain, really.
Yeah,
and,
that's
you know,
right.
as business owners, that's the ability to be flexible is what we're offering as a, you know, part of the service that we bring. Yeah. But, you know, it's one of those, it is a constant thing, but you do have to set, like what you just said, you have to set your boundaries.
You do.
You know, I don't know, do you have other people who think that they can just drop in, and have you kind of read them the rules?
It's not so bad here, but I have had to sort of turn the hotel, well, because we relocated to Tamworth, we've become a bit of a, I'll just go and stay here for the night. Now I've had to turn the tap off on that. I'm not an Airbnb. I don't have time for your washing and catering. Barely have time to do that for us. So yeah, I do sort of put boundaries, and mum and dad know that if they, you know, they're a classic one. If they come up from Sydney for a few days, they know that Friday, Monday, work comes first. They'll usually totter off and do their own thing, and they're fine. But it's interesting the number of other VAs that you talk to that have challenges with that, because people don't see them as having a real business. They're just working from home. So, you know, anybody can say they're working from home, and
that's
so
right.
it is challenging. But I think if you set the ground rules and go, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that today. Don't answer the door.
Yeah, they get used to it. Absolutely. So,
and I mean, my friends don't ring during business hours. I don't ring them either. It's no different.
Well,
I don't think they understand the size of the business now.
That's exactly right. People just think you got this dinky little home business. I mean, I still go downtown now, you know, 12 years after starting my business, and people will say, oh, do you still do that VA thing? And I just say, yeah, actually I do. And I don't even give them any more information, because I think if that's what they think it is, I'm not even going to talk about it.
People around us don't really understand VA as much as if you say I do business support services, then that's something they can more get their head around. They still don't understand the VA concept in a lot of ways. Or the other thing is, people think VAs are chatbots.
Yes, I've heard that before.
Well, Qantas actually have it on their website, you know, meet our new VA. And I growled at them and said, it's not a VA, it's a chatbot. It's a different thing altogether. VAs are very different. So yeah, it's interesting how people...
It is, but we're finding that more and more people are understanding what we do and that what's possible. Just like on the last point, because we're going to wrap it up soon, I just want to ask you, you know, you did talk about COVID, and, you know, I know my experience was that there was definitely a belt tightening at that point when it hit, and it became apparent that it was a thing that we were going to be dealing with. I also noticed that if you weren't associated with events and travel, that what happened was businesses started to go, okay, all right, I can see that I'm going to trade through this. And so then we saw a bit of a growth then or bounce back, maybe you could call it that, with the obvious exception of, you know, Melbourne, which is going through its own nightmare. But so, you know, tell me how COVID played out for you, and have you seen more opportunities? Because I know actually there's more opportunities as a result.
There have been. I've had a couple of clients who've been severely impacted by it, but by and large, I've seen there's far more opportunity that's come up. I think the JobKeeper payments that came through gave businesses a bit of a chance to get ahead and to try a few things. And I think that where they could, they've outsourced. And I think now they're seeing the benefit of outsourcing some of the services rather than the overhead of having people in the office. And for everything I hear about people saying, oh, you know, it's women who are out of work, I think there's far more women who are learning that they can achieve what they want to achieve working from home. They can actually get things done. And it's not, you don't need to be in a workplace to be productive and contributing. And I think businesses are realizing that. I think the politicians are playing games by using that as a, you know, yes, you've done things for the young people and all the rest of it, but I think women who are savvy, and there's so many of them coming up, you see them through Koshi's Business Builders, you see them in all the women's forums, and there's a lot more female entrepreneurs popping up now. So I don't see it as quite the disaster that the politicians like to paint it as. I think COVID has made us all rethink and regroup. And I think there's actually been really good opportunities. There's great grants for people starting up businesses as well.
Yes, absolutely. You know, it's all that kind of incentive structure that we need.
Yeah.
And you know, well, look, this kind of change was happening, like not COVID I'm talking about, but the change, the technological changes, we knew they were happening, and we knew that our industry was going to grow as a result. But I know that was like this bang, and we're speeding it up.
It is. It has. Well, for me, I was concerned because my hours were dropping, and I think end of March, early April, I was doing maybe half of what I was doing before that, because people were concerned and they were tightening their belts and worried about how it was going to play out.
Yeah.
But then give it 6 weeks and all the sewing supplies I bought had to be shelved.
Are you going to sew your way through COVID, were you?
I was, yep. I had all my projects lined up. I was zipping into it and chatting with a couple of other VAs that said, you've got to come up with that thing that you can just whack out there. And I'm like, I don't do anything like that. What can I do? And I had actually come up with a couple of concepts, and they've just been shelved for now too.
It's like, come on, time. Pick it back up, little holiday, you're back into it. No, that's great. Well, look, thanks so much. I really appreciate your time, Sarah. I know you are super busy. And yeah, I'm sure that people listening, if, you know, I would ask if they're interested in wanting to talk to you a little bit more. Are you happy for people to give you send you an email? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
All right, well, look, obviously your website details will be on the front slide of this, so people will be able to go and review that. But no, I really appreciate your time and your insights, because it's really good to hear how you've kind of grown your business, and it's been an extraordinary growth and something that we're really excited for you about.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. It's crazy, but it's good. It's a wild ride.
Yeah, no, it's certainly really encouraging. So, okay, well, thanks so much, Sarah, and we look forward to seeing you around our groups too.
Thanks, Ingrid.
Bye for now.
Bye.